Good afternoon, students. So yesterday we discussed about life cycle phases and process artifacts and some of the topics discussed in process workflow. Uh, so yesterday we discussed all these topics, management artifact, business case, all these we discussed yesterday. So we discussed about software process workflows. In this, there are 7 top level workflows are there. One is management workflow. I am repeating yesterday topic. So yesterday, these 3 topics are missed in the recording. So I will repeat these 3 topics. Okay. So management artifacts. So in this management artifacts, so business case, see here, this business case artifacts provides all the information to determine whether the project is worth investing. Okay, I am repeating the yesterday topic. Okay, it details the expected cost, technical and management plans, backups, backup data are necessary to demonstrate risk. Okay, this is about business case. The typical business case outlines here: context, technical approach, management approach, and evaluation appendices. So these are the business case outlines. Then we move to the software development plan. The STP elaborates process framework into fully detailed plan. Okay, so this document defines the project process, and also in this document is periodically updated. So the detailed outline for a software development plan fancy diagram means this is the typical software development plan. Here also context is there and software development process, software engineering environment, software change management, software assessment, standards and procedures, and evolutionary appendixes. Okay. Then move to next one, that is work breakdown structure. So work breakdown is very important for budgeting. So software project manager should do access the project costs and how they are expanded. Okay. So here the WBS should be structured properly. So it should be structured properly, and also specific boundary should be checked properly by the manager. Okay. Then move to the software change order database. So here managing change is one of the fundamental primitives of the iterative development process. So with the great change, mm, project iterates more productively. So project iterates more productively. So this change is achieved in practice through automation. So manual changes has become more complex and the concept of automation is implemented. Okay, so once the software is in a controlled baseline, the change must be formally tracked and changed. Okay, so this is software change order database. Remaining I already discussed due to some problem, these three are missing, so I discussed today. So yesterday we discussed the four basic key principles, that is architecture first approach are here. Okay, there are seven top level workflows for software process workflow. One is management workflow, another one is environment workflow, requirement workflow. So we will discuss it in detail about these. So management workflow, controlling the process and ensuring with and ensuring win condition for all stakeholders. So it provides the win condition for all stakeholders. And environment workflow, automating the process and evolving the maintenance environment. And a requirement workflow, analyze the problem space and evolving the requirement artifacts. Okay, so next design workflow, modeling the solutions and evolving the architecture and design artifacts. Then move to the implementation workflow, programming the components and evolving the implementation and deployment artifacts. Okay, then move to the assessment workflow, assessing the trends in process and product quality. We are assessing the product quality. Last one, deployment workflow. Here, transitioning the end product to the user. Here, deployment is the transitioning the end product to the user. It will deliver the product to the user. So this is about software process workflow. Then we move to the principles involved in the software process workflow. So there are four basic principles involved. First one, architecture first approach. Next, iterative life cycle process and round trip engineering. Last one, demonstration based approach. So see here in this architecture first approach, implementing and testing the architecture must precede full-scale development, and testing and must precede the downstream focus on completeness and quality of the product feature. So this is about architecture first approach. Then iterative life cycle approach, the activities and artifacts of any given workflow may require more than one pass to achieve the advocate result. Okay, you have required more than one pass to achieve the advocate results. In round trip engineering, raising the environment activities to a first class workflow is critical. So the environment is the tangible embodiment of the project process and notations for producing the artifacts. Last one, demonstration based approach. In this, implementation and assessment activities are initiated nearly in the life cycle. So we have to initiate the implementation assessment activities and reflecting the emphasis on constructing the executable subset for involving architecture. So here subsets of the involving architecture. See here, my screen is visible. So next, move to the another topic. Another workflow model is iteration workflow. So after that, see here activity level across the life cycle phase. See here management already explaining constant. It may environment mainly focus on elaboration and requirement mainly focus on inception. Design here mainly focus on elaboration and implementation focus on construction and assessment also focus on construction. Deployment mainly focus on transition. So across the life cycle phase, okay. So next, another workflow model is iteration workflow. So an iteration workflow consists of a sequential set of activities in various proportions depending on where the iteration is located in the development cycle. So all these you all know about management, requirement, design, implementation, assessment, deployment. So here allocated user scenario and results from the previous iteration also, and we will start the work. So from we start with management, then requirement, design, implementation, and result of the next iteration, it moves forward. Then the if any changes, then result of the here we have to again management, requirement, we all do in cyclic manner. So we call it as a iteration workflow. So this is inception elaboration workflow. So we mainly focus on management, requirement, design. And in construction phase, it focuses on design, implementation, and assessment. Okay, clear? In transition phase, it focuses on assessment and deployment. Okay, clear? So this is about process workflow. So now the second unit is completed. Okay, today's second unit is completed. Now we move to third unit. So anybody has any doubt regarding second unit? We discussed all these life cycle phases, all these iterative incremental process work frames, life cycle phases, process artifacts, process workflows. We all discussed all these topics. So second unit is completed. And today we will start our next unit, that is nothing but 6th unit. That is efforts estimation and activity planning. So my screen is visible. My screen is visible. Please write a message in chat box. See here, today we discussed our third unit. We are discussing about third unit, that is effort estimation. So here, see here, Barry Boehm with his classical work identified several ways to estimate the software effort estimation. So these are the techniques to estimate the effort estimation. So to estimate, these are 7 techniques to estimate software effort estimation. So here first one, analog or parametric model. The algorithm or parametric model, then analog model. Next, expert judgment, Parkinson, price to win, top down, bottom. These are the 7 techniques used for effort estimation. software effort estimation. First one, we move to algorithm or parametric model. So please write a message if my voice is audible and my screen is visible or not. So I will start the class. Okay. So here algorithm or parametric model. So in this algorithm and parametric model, see here first one algorithm and parametric model. So here we use algorithms and effort drivers representing the characteristics of the target system and predicting the effort. So we use algorithms and effort drivers representing the characteristics of a target system and predicting the effort. That is algorithm model. Then analog model, whether a similar completed project is identified and basing on that we estimate the actual effort. So here we here project here a similar project is identified and we estimate the actual effect. By using that we estimate the actual effect. We call it as an analog model. Then expert judgment, here we estimate the effort basing on the advice of the expected and knowledgeable staff. So we are taking the advice of the expertise and knowledgeable staff. Sorry, experienced and knowledgeable staff. Then we move to function. Here the available staff to do project becomes the estimate. So here staff to do the project becomes estimate. And also next we move to the price to win. Here where the estimate is a figure that seems to be sufficiently low to win the contract. That is doing price to win. And also next move to top down. Here the whole project is broken down into a number of tasks and the estimation is carried out for each individual task. So you have to break down the task and the estimation is carried out individual task, each individual tasks. Clear? Then move to the bottom up. Okay, next move to the bottom up. So the tasks are identified and these individual estimations are aggregated. After a top-down approach, then we move to the tasks are identified and these individual estimates are aggregated. So this is top-down, bottom-up approach. So these are the different techniques used in developing effort estimation, software effort estimation techniques. So then we move to the next one. So see here how we estimate the model. So after this we move to the next topic is top-down approach and parametric model. So top-down approach and parametric model. This top-down approach is normally associated with the parametric model. So we already discussed about algorithmic or parametric model. So Here we use the algorithm and effort drivers representing the characteristics of a target system and predicting the effort. That is parametric model. So, for example, the house owner needs the insurance coverage for his destroyed property. So, the insurance companies produce the convenient tables to give the estimation of house considering the parameters such as floor space of the house and also width and height of the each room. So all these are they have to estimate for house. So all these are estimated. So this is simply a parametric model. In software, it relates with the characteristics of the final system. So see here the parametric model gives the formula effort equal to system size into productivity rate. Okay, effort equal to system size and productivity rate. So system size is represented in the form of KLOC. KLOC means thousands of lines of code. K means thousand elements lines of code. Okay. So for a specific module which has two components, the first one is see here. The first one is amount of work needed, and the second one is the rate of work at which the task can be done. This is work needed and the task rate of work task can be done. Okay, that is product rate, the system size. So, for example, some person named Amanda estimates a module to be completed as 2 KLOC, and he assessed it would take 40 days per KLOC, and to complete the work it takes 80 days. So Ananda gives some. So he has 2 KLOC and it takes 40 days per KLOC, and to complete work he need 80 days. So another person who is less experienced would need 55 days per KLOC. So that is 2 into 55, that equal to 110 days. So to complete that task. So in this case, KLOC is the size driver indicating the amount of work to be done. So here KLOC is the here system, so we are representing in KLOC. Okay. So KLOC is the size driver. So here productivity is given by effort by system size. So you have to remember effort is calculated by system size into product rate. Okay, clear? So next we move to the next topic, that is bottom-up approach. So here the project is broken down into number of tasks, and each task is decomposed into number of subtasks in bottom-up approach. So this is repeated until you get the task for each individuals. Okay. So in this the bottom-up part comes in adding up the calculated efforts for each task to get our estimate. Okay, so in bottom-up approach describes the following. First one envisages the number and the type of software module the final system. So number and the type of software module to the final system, and also here estimate the work content, and also taking into account complexity and technical difficulty. These are the approaches in bottom up. And last one, calculate the work days effort. Also in bottom up, we have to calculate the work days effort. Next we move to the effort judgment. This is asking about estimate of task from the estimation of task from someone who is knowledgeable about the application or developed environment. So in this the estimator would examine the existing code in order to judge the In order to judge the proportion of the code can be derived or not. So you have to judge the code can be derived or not. And also someone who is familiar with the software would be best to do this. So this is expert judgment. Okay. So you have to know someone who is the familiar with the software only he can judge. And also some suggest that expert judgment is simply a matter of guessing, but research shows that expert use analog approach. So some research told that they use analog approach, that is checking the similar project from the past. So they have to check the similar project from the past. And last one, expert by analog. This is also called case-based reasoning. Okay. Here, estimator identifies completed projects with similar characteristics of the new project. He has to identify identify the completed project with similar characteristics of the new project, and the estimator then identifies difference between the target and the source, and adjusts the base estimates to produce an estimate for the new project. This work done by the expert, okay, by analog. Okay, clear? Any doubt? Okay, next we move to Albrecht function point analysis. Okay. So see here, this function point analysis, we call it as FPA or Albrecht-FP analysis. Okay. Albrecht FP analysis or FPA. So here Alan J. Albrecht proposed the function point analysis in the year 1999 at IBM. So it's a functional size measurement. So it accesses the functionality delivered to the user based on the external view. So it refers to the logical view than the physical view. So FPA is a tool that determines the size of the project by counting the function. So by counting the function, it determines the size of the project rather than the lines of the code or programming language. It count by the functions. Okay. It checks whether the function matches the requirements. So here there are, it comprises of 5 major components. First one, external input type, then external output type, external inquiry types, logical internal file types, and external interface file types. These are comprised of 5 major components. First we move to the external input type. So here external input types are input transactions which update the internal computer files. So these are update the internal computer files. Okay. Then we move to the external output types. So here external output types are transactions where data is output to the user. So typically these would be printed reports. So this external output is in a printed reports. Okay. Then we move to external inquiry types. Here external types are transactions initiated by the user which provides information but do not update the internal files. It will give only information, but it do not update the internal files. So the user inputs some information that direct the system to details required. So he directed the details required. What are details required? He directed to the user. Then we move to the logical interface file. So here logical interface file types are standing files used by the system. So the file does not sit easily with modern information system. So it refers to a group of data that is usually accessed together. So for example, a purchase order file may be made up of a record type, that is a purchase order plus a second which is repeated for each item order on the purchase order item. So in next lesson we will discuss about purchase order and purchase order item. Okay. Next, we move to the external interface file types. So these external internal file types allow for output and input that may pass to and from other computer applications. So this will give pass to and fro from other computer applications. So example of this would be transmission of accounting data from an order processing system to the main system, or the production of a file of direct debit details on a magnetic or electronic media to be passed to the banker's account, or we have to transfer data from account to account. So that is called internal external interface file types. Okay, so these are the function point analysis by Albert Chest. So we will clearly explain. I will explain these concepts with an example. Don't worry. So this table we call it as a Albert complexity multipliers. So these are the external user types. So external input type, external output type, internal file type, internal file type, interface file type inquiry. So this is the table given by Albert Chat and multiplier. So when there is a external input type is low, then we multiply with 3. If the is average, we multiply with 4. If high, we multiply with 6. Similarly, external output type low, multiply with 4. Average multiply with 5, high we multiply with 7. And here logical internal file type, if it is low, we multiply with 7, if average 10, and high multiply with 15. And this external interface file type, if the low multiply with 5, high average 7, and high 10. And this inquiry type, low 3, average 4, high 6. So explain with an example. So see here, IF, 1 minute. See here, IFPUG. So IFPUG means International Function Point User Group. Okay, IFPUG means International Function Point User Group. So they derived few rules to decide the complexity level of the project. So they derived some rules to decide the complexity level of the project. This is derived from this table, Albert Chat complexity multiple table. These are derived from the table. So see here number of record types is 1. Then less than you give low prior, or 20 to 50 data types less than 20 we have to give low, data types 20 to 50 also low, and data types greater than 50 we have to give average. When the number of records are 2 to 5, then data types less than 20 low, and 20 to 50 average, greater than 50 high. And when the number of records type greater than 5, then the data types less than 20 we are giving average, 20 to 50 high, and greater than 50 high. So this will explain with an example, don't worry. So for example, a file may contain the data about the purchase order. So The purchase order might be organized in two record types. So the purchase order organized in two record types. First one purchase order, second one purchase order item. So see here we have two data types. One is purchase order, second one is purchase order item. And in purchase order, the two records here, purchase order and purchase order item. So in purchase order, the data types are order number, supply reference, and order date. So here we have three data types: order number, supply reference, and order date. That is data types in this order, in this record. Then purchase order item, here data types are the product name and the price of the product and the number of items ordered. So these are the different three data types. One is product name and the price. Second one is price. Third data type is order date. Sorry, third item number of items ordered. So these are the three. So see here we have two records. Okay, two records, and the number of data types is 3. So 3 into 3, 3 plus 3, 6. So less than 20. So we give here low. So IFPC complexity we give here low. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. We move to next topic. Function point. So this is proposed by CCTA. CCTA means Control Computer Telecommunication Agency. So CCTA, which is official method used and implemented in UK. This is a method used and implemented in UK. Here for each transaction, the UFPS are calculated. See here, each transaction have to calculate the UFPS. Okay, so UFPS means unadjusted function points. For each transaction, we have to calculate UFPS, that is unadjusted function point. See here, WI, WE, and WO are the weights derived for the project for developing the code. These are the weights derived for the project for developing the code, accessing and modifying the code, and processing the outputs. So here WI into number of input data elements types. Okay, input data elements in previous we have 3 data types, and WP the number of entity types referred means records, that is 2, and number of data output data element type. So see here, that is WO. So for example, see here a cash receipt. See here, a cash receipt transaction has 2 entity types. One is invoice and another one is cash receipt. Okay, one is invoice and another one is cash receipt. So the data inputs are here. The data inputs are invoice number, data received, and cash received. Those are the 3 are the data inputs. Those are invoice number, data received, and cash received. So for example, here we are giving average weights. So WI equal to 0.58, and so here data types are 3, so we have to multiply it with 3 plus next one is WE. WE is we are giving some value. that is 1.66 into here two records are, that is invoice and cash receipt. So we have to multiply it with 2. Then we move to WO. So WO equal to, we are guessing the value 0.26 into, we are taking only output 1. So we multiply it when, so we multiplication, then sum, the answer we will get is 5.32. So that is the transaction of the UFP calculated. So this is 5.2 UFP we get for each transaction in this example. Okay, clear? Then move to another topic, that is nothing but cosmic full function point. So what is cosmic? So cosmic means common software measurement consortium. Okay, so cosmic means common software measurement consortium. So it was developed in Canada. Cosmic deals by decomposing the system into hierarchical of the software layers. So it is decompose the system into hierarchy of software layers. Okay, so software cosmic model is helpful in real-time and embedded application. This is very helpful in real-time and embedded applications. So here inputs and outputs are aggregated into data groups. So here inputs and outputs are aggregated into data groups. So here data groups are classified into 4 ways: entries, exist, reads, write. These are the 4 ways. Okay. Entries, exist, reads, write. So first we move to entries. So which are affected by sub-processes that move the data group into software component in a question form, a user outside its boundary. Okay, so user outside its boundary. So this could be from another layer or another separate software component in the same layer via peer-to-peer communication. Then we move to exist. So which are affected by sub-process that move the data group from the software component to a user outside its boundary. Here also outside boundary. Then we move to the reads, which are data movements that move data group from persistent storage such as database into the software component. That is about real reads R. Then writes, here we are here which are data movement that transfer data groups from the software component into a persistent storage. Okay. So this is about writes. So these are the data groups. Then we move to next slide. COCOMO. So see here COCOMO. Before this, for example, see here, it's a cosmic full function point. For example, yes, the entry of the vehicle into a car parking. So we all know about entries of car parking by a small computer system. So each time a vehicle pulls at the entry and the sensor notifies the computer system of vehicle presence. Okay. And the system examines the count and it maintains the number of vehicles. Number of vehicles inserted and it will count. Okay. then see here, then if the count determines exceed the maximum, if the count is exceeded, then the barrier is lifted and the count is incremented. So when count is exceeded, the barrier is lifted and the count is incremented. When the vehicle is car parking, the sensor detects the exit and reduces the cost of the vehicle. So and reduces the count of the vehicle. So if any vehicle leaves, then it reduces the count of the vehicle. This is the real-time embedded software application. So here it identifies the computer system or sensor identifies the entries, exist, reads and write in this application. Okay, this is the example of cosmic full function points. Then next we move to the COCOMO. This is a constructive cost model. This is used for estimating time, cost, and effort. So COCOMO is proposed by Boehm in late 1970s after study of 63 projects. After his study of 63 projects, then he proposed COCOMO. Okay, this is a procedural software cost estimation model. Okay, the basic model was built around the equation effort equal to C into size power K. So where effort was measured in person per month. Here effort is measured for each person per month. So here effort is measured each size per month. Here where measured in PM or number of persons per month consisting of 152 working hours. So size was measured in KDSI. Here size is measured in KDSI, that is thousands of delivered source code instruction. So KDSI, that is thousands of delivered source code instruction. Here C and K were constants. Okay. See here. So this COCOMO is this Boehm termed this COCOMO in the system classified into this COCOMO system is classified into 3 ways. That is Boehm termed them as the Boehm termed them as organic mode, embedded mode, and semi-detached mode. Okay. So tomorrow we will discuss this COCOMO model with a suitable example. Okay, we discuss tomorrow suitable example, and also we discuss tomorrow about this table also. So far, any doubts regarding these topics? Please write a message in chat box. No queries. So see here COCOMO constants for organic. We will discuss tomorrow organic mode, embedded mode, and semi-detached mode. So C value is 0.4. These are the COCOMO constants. They will give, and we are in organic mode we have multiplied with 2.4 and K value is 1.05. In semi-detached mode we multiply with 3.0. C value and K value is 1.12, and embedded the C value is 3.6 and K value is 1.20. Okay, clear. So tomorrow we will discuss these three, what is organic mode and what is embedded mode and semi-detached mode with the example. So any queries, please write a message in chat box. Otherwise I am ending the session.